music. We're going to do the top 10 riffs of the 2000s, and I'm going to rock it on this Boss Katana right here. And what's really cool is I have song patches for each of these 10 riffs, so you get an authentic sound without any effects that you need. No pedals are needed. And I also am going to give you guys a link for those patches in the description below, as well as a link to this awesome Boss Katana. Yes, this is an interesting time for me because by this time I was already a full-time guitar teacher and full-time gigging musician, all the way up to about 2008 when I actually transitioned into making videos on YouTube. So my taste had kind of already developed. So some of these riffs are more to me in reference to me teaching them as a guitar teacher at this point in time than actually discovering a lot of these new bands, especially the new metal stuff. All right, hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get to the countdown. Number 10, Papa Roach, Last Resort. Oh yes, when I think of this song, I think of the early genesis of the meme. Classic memes have been created based on this song and its opening lyrics. The riff itself is a monster. It's a killer riff. But when I hear this, even my young 12-year-old son or 14-year-old daughter actually know this song because of the memes on the internet. So it's a really interesting time for music. For instance, this meme. Cut my leash into pieces. This is my bestest pork. Domestication, no breeding. Can't give a heck cause they neutered my weenie. Number 9, Linkin Park with Papercut. Now, I'll admit, bands like Linkin Park and these other new metal bands from the early 2000s, I didn't listen to a lot. I taught them as a guitar teacher, but my taste had kind of already formed from listening and loving, my childhood and teenage music like the 80s and 90s. At this point, I was already teaching full-time and gigging full-time, and I was more of a classic rock blues guy. But as I've taught this song and as the years have gone by, I've really grown to appreciate and like Linkin Park. So anyway, I'm going to do this one on my SG. It's got some really tasty stuff. That drop tuning that started happening a lot more during this time, you'll notice that as well. Here it is, Papercut. Number 8, Muse Hysteria. Some of my favorite riffs in the early 2000s are Muse. I think they're one of the greatest bands to come out of this era. I don't even know what to call them. I feel like they're like art rock, but with like really high level musicianship, great singing, great production, great sounds. Just a really unique, killer, amazing band. And this was one of my favorites on this list, so let's rock it. Number 7, Queens of the Stone Age, No One Knows. I remember really well the first time I heard this song. It was still in video format. So I was still watching videos, and it definitely wasn't through YouTube. And I remember it really well because they were getting a lot of media attention. And I had never heard of anyone other than watching that video and seeing Dave Grohl playing drums in the video. So I knew that there was something going on with this band. And something else really cool about this song and this band is there was like melodic talent in the vocals, like singing melodies, singing vocals, but super heavy driven guitar music. So I always liked that. I always liked like melodic singers, and I found that with this song. And then just the riff with the beat, you got Dave Grohl. I mean, it always is going to make things better. I mean, look at Tenacious D, for instance. But anyway, Queens of the Stone Age, No One Knows. This is one that I still need to come out with a full lesson for, so that's coming soon. But here it is. Let's rock it. Number 6, Eminem with Lose Yourself. Eminem, Marshall Mathers, same initials as Marty Music. Coincidence? I thought it'd be fun to pick something that was like a little bit of a palate cleanser. You know, this isn't necessarily considered rock. However, the guitar riff is iconic. It's simple, but iconic. And anytime I hear the riff, I have to start saying, yo, 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 to get my flow. But you know, this Eminem kind of ruled the world when this song came out. He had his movie, obviously, 8 Mile, so he went and did the acting thing. And this song was, I think, the best thing that came out of that whole thing. It's a great pump-me-up song with an iconic guitar riff. You know what it is right away. Probably borrows a bit from the Led Zeppelin Kashmir category, but it's not a direct sample. And it also comes from that kind of blues position, which I always thought was interesting. So anyway, here's Slim Shady, Marshall Mathers, Eminem with Lose Yourself, the riff. Yo, yo, yo. Number 5, Audioslave with Cochise. Now, this was a big moment in music, and I gravitate towards this song more than some of the others on the list because, of course, it's icons from the 90s. One of the greatest singers in rock ever, Chris Cornell, with one of the most unique guitar players from one of the best bands of the 90s, and the other guys, you know, from Rage Against the Machine. I don't want to leave them out as well. But you just have a monster E minor pentatonic riff with Chris Cornell, a killer beat. I mean, it's a ferocious song. And I remember there were some doubters when Audioslave kind of announced that they were forming. And I know there's still doubters now. And they're really nothing like the two bands. You know, they're nothing like Soundgarden, I guess, except for that voice. And they're nothing like Rage Against the Machine. They're really their own unique thing. And I think music was better and history is better for that band having formed. It certainly was a light for me as a guitar teacher to have something that I really dug with artists that I dug to, you know, get students into and to be able to teach it. So always one of my favorites from this time. It is Cochise, Audioslave, Monstrous on the 335. We're back! Number 4! Green Day, American Idiot. This song for me, once again, Green Day, especially American Idiot, really, if I just close my eyes or you say, like, what's the first thing that comes into your mind when we say Green Day, American Idiot? To me, it's sitting at some family's house somewhere in their living room teaching their son or their daughter guitar. Green Day for the young kids during the time that I was teaching was huge. I mean, they're still, one of the most relevant bands, I think. But American Idiot in particular was like, I was teaching all of those songs all the time to students because the kids, the youth loved the songs, but they're also very approachable as a guitar player, lots of basic power chords, but with interesting rhythms. And also, I think really cool, like, even if you don't agree with their stance or their philosophy, I think that the lyrics always had a deep meaning in the Green Day songs. And this one has that kind of classic Ramones vibe almost. And I just think about being a guitar teacher and even before YouTube, I think about being a guitar teacher with this song. It's a classic, got the patch on the katana, got the Les Paul ready to rock it. So let's play some American Idiot. Number 3, Can't Stop by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Once again, a band that I can connect to, and I loved it so much. I was so excited when John Frusciante came back into the Chili Peppers after a hiatus. And as of making this video, he's doing it again. So, never count out John Frusciante, and one of the greatest guitar players ever in modern music. Now, Can't Stop is just killer. It's so rhythmic. John Frusciante always has that perfect combination of influences that I love, especially the Hendrix vibe, but also, always a funk sentiment or a funk groove to it, even if it was super heavy. It always had a pocket. And so anyway, I'm going to play this riff, but I have to say, a John Frusciante song, to play it the way John Frusciante plays it, it would really help for my fingers to be about an inch longer. For the, and John Mayer too, how dare you. But, you got that thumb wrap around. He's using his thumb a lot. He's doing some really interesting stretches all the time in all the songs. So I find to play it the way he plays it very challenging for me, not just this song, but most of his songs. And I like playing Can't Stop where I'm not using my thumb and I can make it sound a lot cleaner, but I'm going to go for it with the thumb and everything for you guys out there. But Chili Peppers, one of my favorite bands. I've talked about it before, but, I saw them, Nirvana, and Pearl Jam in one show in 1991 when I was still a teenager, and that, blew my mind. I'll never forget it. I watched Frusciante melt my face right in front of me. It was incredible. So he's one of my favorites, and this band's one of my favorites. They're always doing interesting stuff, and Can't Stop is a later part of their career, and they're still were making amazing music. So I'm still excited to see what they do in the future. It's the Red Hot Chili Peppers with Can't Stop. Number 2, The Killers with Mr. Brightside. I love this song, one of my favorites on this list. I absolutely love the guitar riff. It's a very piano keyboard sounding riff to me, you know, the arpeggiating through a chord. The riff is really hard to play with stubby fingers, I'm telling you. So not the easiest one for me to play. But a quick anecdote that I haven't really talked about is I actually am on an album, and it's so weird because the album like literally came out, I think the day that I'm filming this. So it's probably already out now, but the artist, he's going to get a free plug. His name's Kevin Ernest. And we actually, I'm friends with Kevin Ernest, and so is John Koenig, who from The Killers, who wrote the riff to Mr. Brightside. So a few years back, I got called to play on a friend of mine's album, which you can now check out. And Dave Koenig was part of the same session. We're even on some of the same songs together. We're both on multiple songs on the album. But for me, we recorded it at Dave Koenig's home studio at his house. So I got called over there. I had never met Dave Koenig before. And, you know, at this point, because this was only a few years ago, had a little experience, you know, like I've met Tenacious D and who were some of my heroes. Shout out always. You know, I've gotten messages from guys like Cat Stevens, who are my heroes. So at this point, meeting like a real rock star like Dave Koenig, I at least had a little more experience to like not, you know, be a complete dork around someone that I admired or whatever. We're about the same age, I think. But anyway, we did this session together. And when I first showed up, like, I don't know if he didn't know there was going to be another guitar player or he was told like right before I was coming over. So like when we did the session, I showed up and he was perfectly friendly guy, but he was kind of like, yeah, I mean, I could see he was kind of like, you know, sizing me up, like who is this guy? Like what, you know, what's going on? And so then it was like, oh, okay, this artist Kevin, who's gonna play their part first? And Dave Koenig was like, oh, you know, Marty, he can go first, kind of like to see what I could do, I think, a little bit. Like I said, he was a nice guy, so it wasn't like anything negative at all. But I think he just wanted to see, you know, it was like I'm watching the Michael Jordan documentary right now. And it's like a new player came on. It's like, let's see what you got, but we're on the same team. So I went in, did my thing. I think I played a couple of different solos. I learned the parts. I had never heard the song before, so I went in totally blind, tried to, you know, add something to it, and then I walked back out. And after I walked back out, and Dave Koenig was watching, like all of a sudden he was like, started talking to me, and like he's like, hey man, I want your number, and like, you know, all of a sudden he was like, I don't know if like I earned his respect or whatever it was, but all of a sudden we started to hit it off. And I'll say one really cool thing about the guy. Well, actually a couple cool things. I walked into his house and he had this giant set of like Star Wars toys everywhere. And I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. So I was like, oh, this is my kind of guy. And he has a son. So it was his son's like toys. Right. But I was like, oh, sweet. Okay, this is my kind of guy. So I was like, started talking to him about that. And that was really cool. And then when we went into his control room to listen to what we had recorded, he had a replica, authentic 60s Captain Kirk chair from the original Star Trek. That was the chair. And it even had the sounds and the buttons and everything. And I was like, okay, that's pretty rock star. That's pretty rock star right there. But yeah, anyway, he was a really cool guy. And in my back of my mind, I tried to like just, you know, erase it, knowing that he had written such an iconic riff like the one we're about to play right now and playing it cool. So here it is. I wish I had longer fingers. Let's go. And number 1 is White Stripes, Seven Nation Army. Once again, this is the classic easy riff to teach to a beginner guitar student. So I want to just give a shout out to all the guitar teachers out there that are doing it. And also just reminisce about my time when I was an elementary school teacher in 2005 to 2008. So this song was already out, but it was a really popular song, and it was really cool to like show up to a little kid's house and show it to them and be like, see, it's not too hard. And it was definitely one of my go-to first riffs, you know, playing it the easy way, not like with all the Jack Whiteness, but just like being able to play it like an easy one string riff. And some of the greatest riffs ever of all time are those one string easy little riffs that you can play. They stick with you forever. I mean, there's so many bands that are the master of that, but like AC/DC is one that comes to mind. And then of course, Black Sabbath with all their classic kind of, you know, Iron Man and Paranoid, all those songs. So this fits right in with that category of like iconic, awesome rock riffs, but that are easy to play. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, those are my favorite riffs. So anyway, here it is. Last but not least, the White Stripes with Seven Nation Army. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed the riffs. If you feel like there's some riffs that didn't deserve to be on there, you can let me know, and vice versa. Also, thanks for supporting Marty Music. Once again, I want to let you guys know that all the patches for those songs I played, each patch is you can get them for free in the description below, and also a link for this Boss Katana. Shout out to Boss for letting me jam on this sucker. And hope to see you guys again real soon. Thanks for watching. See you later.